However, the information in regards coronavirus globally is really transparent. China, which is the main contributor of the virus, has been praised by the World Health Organization for being transparent and collaborative in taking on the outbreak of the coronavirus in Wuhan. They have been sharing information about the disease, and up to now, there are more than 93,000 cases around the world. The overwhelmingly majority is in China, but our deaths are reported globally. Authorities around the world are considering new quarantine zone and travel restrictions. So first thing first, let's take a look on how the distributions of coronavirus cases gone globally. So here it is. Easy, we have two categories in here, the mainland China and the countries other than China. So as much as 84% of the cases of coronavirus is in China, as much as more or less 85,000 cases, while in another country rather than China, it's only hit like 16% of the cases of coronavirus. That probably more or less 15,000 cases happened other the countries other than China, and there is a tiny part of that 16% that I've mentioned before belongs to Indonesia. The part is really small because so far in Indonesia has only discovered 2 cases. Epidemiologists have long said that COVID-19's absence in the world of 4th most populous nations, which is Indonesia, was kind of impossible, given the large number of visitors, both from tourism and business from nearby China. In short, Indonesia finally reported its first 2 cases of coronavirus on Monday. At a press conference in Jakarta, President Joko Widodo announced that 2 women, aged 31 and 64 from Depok, had contracted the virus. Not only Indonesia that has its first infected citizens, the outbreak number continues to climb to other countries, such as 4 new cases in Canada, 1 new case in Chile, and 3 new cases in Ecuador. So better we check the next graphic to see the total. By any longer, we can see you can see the infographic in here related to the coronavirus total case. Now here it is. Well, we can see in the January 22nd, the cases was only 580, while in just only like 2 days, it grew bigger by 1,317, and by only like 5 to 3 days, in 1 February, the total cases up to 14,553, and then jumping up to 3 March. In the March 3rd, the total cases grew significantly by 90,932 cases around the world. While the infections in the rest of the world accelerate, the coronavirus epidemic is showing signs of easing, with the new cases slowing dramatically and recoveries gathering pace. Even though the death rates among the confirmed cases don't tell us about the risk precise in any single group, their patterns can tell us about who is most at risk. Some types of people are more likely to die if they contracted the coronavirus: the elderly and the unwell. In the first big analysis of more than 50,000 cases in China, the death rate was 10 times higher in the very elderly compared to the middle-aged. To see the exact number, let's check the data. So here it is. We can see the various ages of the death rate of COVID-19. So we can see the younger group. The people who has a 20 below and 30 and 40 has a similar death rate. For example, people that below 20 years old has a 0.2% death rate of COVID-19. While if we can see the group of 50 years old people, it has a death rate of 0.4%. And it gets higher if the elderly it gets. For example, 60 years old people have a death rate by 1.3% of a COVID-19 death rate. And moving on, if the people are below the 80 years old, the higher death rate it is by 14.8%. And the death rates were lowest for the under 30s, and that were deaths in 4,500 cases, and the deaths were at least 5 times more common among the people with diabetes, blood high pressure, and breathing problems. And there were even slightly higher number of our deaths among men compared to women. Male death rates is very high, and actually all of these factors interact with each other, and we don't yet have a complete picture of the risk for every type of persons in every locations. But of course, government has also taken other preventive attempts. So let's see the next graphic on what government do. So here it is, government's preventive attempt on coronavirus. First of all, it's temporarily stop flights to and from mainland China. And the second of all, bar visitors from China for 14 days from entering or transiting Indonesia. And the third one is stop a policy to give free visa to China's nationals. And the fourth one is stop issuing visas or arrival for those who live in a mainland China. And of course, Indonesia as Chinese close trading partner experienced loss as well. The impact of coronavirus is also felt in import and export sectors of Indonesia to China. Chairman of Indonesians Employer Associations, or so-called APindo, delivered statement that imports and exports to China are declining. Business actors now have to find alternative for goods from the other countries whose prices are not so far competitive compared to China. But other than that, let's see the other impacted sectors that Indonesia got from coronavirus outbreak. So here it is, by any longer, yeah, we can see Indonesians impacted sectors as the coronavirus hit. First of all, it will hit the tourism in Indonesia because most of the visitors to Indonesia are from mainland China. And the second of all is investment. And the third one is oil and gas, and also trade. And then back again to Indonesia's biggest fear. Coronavirus outbreak could cloud the outlook of the tourism sectors this year. Head of BPS, Suhardiman, said that the virus outbreak in China will no doubt lower foreign arrivals from China to Indonesia this year, as China contributes large foreign tourists to Indonesia. In December alone, around 154,100 China citizens visited Indonesia. This means 11.2% of the total of 1.38 million foreigners entering the country. And the fact that coronavirus is such a bitter pill to swallow, but Indonesia must put its best preventive attempt to stay away from the negative impact of the outbreak, whether it is from the economic side or the tourism side. So stay safe and stay tuned to our market headlines.